Or if there's a whole bunch selected and you click on one that doesn't have the purple thing in the corner, it'll move that by itself.
Do you have a deck on pillow?
So if you try to drag any of these, they're all linked together.
You're a terrible...
Until you turn this off. And you can also click select all and move everything of a pop-up window at once.
No, I'm just interested in you.
And that's useful for if I make changes to the board. Sometimes I'll move a pop-up loader on the stage, like maybe I would move this a little to the left or something to make room for something that I added. It's kind of a pain in the ass whenever I do that without the functionality of being able to select a bunch of them at once, because now whatever you had over the top of your loader button, like for instance, like if I move
blah blah blah
the shut up loader to over here, when you open up the window, if you clicked right here, if the pop-up loader was right here, all your stuff would still be over there. So you'd
blah blah blah
so you'd want to go in there and you'd want to click select all and just move it
blah 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 blah
over there and save it. That way still the one that you had to be over the top of the loader button would now be over the top of the new loader button.
blah 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 blah
Over here. If you can move it back.
blah 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 blah.
But I digress. So that's how you use all red and clear red, and how you select them again is you just hold shift down.
You
guys have got it.
And then if you hit one with select down that you've already got red, it turns it back to black again.
You guys have got it. You guys have got it.
Alright, so inside the pop-up windows, I'll show you some of the other stuff here. I already showed you select all and select multiple. You can make everything inside of a pop-up window be the same color. Just click a color and then click all same color. And you can't tell they're already all red, but you have to mouse over them in order to see if they are or not. You don't have to. Like I could just click save now, and if I opened it back up, they'd all be red. But the thing is, you don't want to use any of these colors from blue down to orange, and you don't want to use the yellow and blue. Those are for specific things. The main two colors are just the regular black and this color blue. And anytime you add new MP3s to a pop-up, by default this color here they associate with new stuff. So like if I go to the other pop-up that I already had something to, you can see when I hit create all, it gets created with this blue color.
Blah 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 blah.
And then when I save it and go back in, it's still that blue color. But if I use it a bunch of times and I know where it is and I'm familiar with it and I don't want to keep it marked as new, I just mark it as black.
Blah 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 blah.
And most of the stuff inside all my pop-ups is black. These are all new things that I added.
There are some things in this world that go way... Help me!
So you can tell I've added a lot of stuff.
That's not true.
Now I'll get to the colored stuff in a minute because they correspond to the top, this top section here and this section down here. And actually, I'm just about ready to move on to that video now. Just wanted to show you a couple other things in here. So you got your two colors, you got create all, delete. You got to make sure that you turn it back off when you're done deleting, because if you leave it on and forget about it, you're going to end up deleting something you don't want to. But just in case you do that, I built in a new function where if you delete something, it automatically pops up into the list. So let's see, I'll delete like Christmas party, and there it is right there. So all the ones that I just deleted, they're not alphabetized in the list, they're down here at the bottom, so I could just add it back out on the stage if I wanted to. But then you saw how I just deleted it. That's because I had delete, it still was on. So be careful. The other thing is volume. If you have a lot of MP3s on your board that are not a good volume, then I would recommend using a program like MP3 Gain, where you can basically analyze an entire folder full of MP3s and you can see which ones are too loud and which ones are too quiet. Like a standard volume that's good for soundboards is like 87 to like 91. And if you see some in there that are like 99 or 104, then you know those are way too loud. And if you see any in there that are like 76, then you know those are too quiet. And you can set them to, you can go with MP3 Gain, you can make them all the same relative volume. The thing you have to worry about though is if there's a really loud part inside of one of your MP3s, it will only raise or lower the volume according to the loudest part if you're amping it up, or I think also going down. So you just have to be aware of that. At any rate, if you don't have a lot, you've already pretty much made the MP3s the right volume, but you've got blue or whatever inside of a few pop-ups that need to have volume made up or down, rather than having to open them up in the sound editor and increasing volume, you can just rotate your mouse wheel and you see the volume fader going up and down, or you can click and drag it. Actually no, you gotta use the mouse wheel, because as soon as you release the mouse it goes back to being off again. So yeah, just use the mouse wheel. Like I'll set one of these to 300. Actually I'm going to close and go back in there because I don't want to save the changes that I already made. I'm going to change this one to 300.
You're sleeping in the next bedroom at night. You're sleeping in the next bedroom at night.
So you can see that's much louder. Now if I save it, and then I go into the FS command folder, and I sort by modified, you'll see that flirting, the one that I just clicked right here, if I open it up, and which was the one that I forget which one.
You're sleeping in the.
If I go to the sleeping in the next bedroom, right there you'll see here's the name of the MP3, there's the X position, the Y position, X scale, Y scale, the color, and then the volume. That's the volume that I just set it to, is 308. If I go back in and I set it to 100 again,
You're sleeping in the next bedroom at night.
and save that, if I go back in there and open up the, keep clicking the options file. If I go back in there, go back down, see that now it's set to 100. Now this is the way that the new way that the information about what buttons are in there, how big they are, what color they are, and what volume they are. This is the new way of saving it. I used to have them all on one line, so the whole thing you'd have to turn word wrap on in order to see everything, or just go way out with the thing here. But this is a much better way of doing it, because the old way was making it take longer to save because it was all one line. There's something easier, even though it's the same amount of data, it seems to be easier for your computer to print out into a bunch of individual lines instead of just one big line. But I've built it into the board so that all of your old FS command files that correspond to all your pop-ups, it will accept both styles, the new style and the old style, so that if you have pop-ups in here that are or I mean if you had, your board was made the old way, which is this way here, it'll still import the data properly and then save it in the new style. So you don't have to worry about that. Anything else inside the edit pops window that you need to know about? Oh yeah, we'll deal with these colors later. That's going to be in the next video. So these, got all this stuff, got the volume. And if you want to close a pop-up without saving it, just hit won't make it needed. And then the remove MP3 list. This is really only useful if you have a bunch of stuff in there that you don't want to get created. Or like if you hit create all, maybe you've got MP3s in there that you don't want to have associated with the pop-up anymore. You don't want to have to keep deleting them every time you go in there because they're not on stage. Well, you can just click remove MP3. And you got to turn it on each time you want to delete one, so just be careful about what you add. I mostly only use that for like if I'm getting careless and I mean to drop an MP3 in here, but I drop it in there. If I add a bunch more MP3s to that pop-up every time I hit create all, I don't want this to keep getting created, so I'll just go. If you delete something, yeah. Now when I go back in there, let's see here. Save it and then I go back in. It's not there anymore. And you'll also notice that whenever you save a pop-up, the white box disappears. And so what happens is when you add something to a pop-up loader, something called a list file gets created in the FS command folder. And there it is right there. It's just a text file, but I gave it a .list extension. So you can open it up with any text editor to see what's in there. It's basically just the names of all the MP3s that you've got associated with that pop-up. But as soon as you save a pop-up, it deletes. Not only does it add everything that's supposed to be added to that pop-up, but it deletes this right here. So you can see I've got list files saved for other pop-ups too. So those are things that I haven't edited yet. So this says you preq state, it preq state, they preq state, and that corresponds to this, we, and it. So if I click any of those, you'll see there's stuff in there that I haven't added yet.
That might be too